Alright, I'm gonna try this again for the third time. Hands full today, bros. Health hands full. Got a grandson here and just got him in the swing to sleep. Take a nappy nap. Dragonslayer RPG is my preferred fantasy thing right now for dungeon crawls and mid-level fantasy, high fantasy. So, I was watching Black Belt Gaming's going over the house rules he's putting in, and I think the strength of any retro clone, any OSR game, is there's enough wiggle room for you to make rulings and alterations without totally destroying the game, right? There are some systems that they're so rules heavy and clunky, you make one minor adjustment and it has a cascading effect to overpower or wreck the system. Not dropping any names, don't care. Some people like that crunch. Whatever. I ain't got time to argue with you guys. So I went through and made a few, actually more than a few in here. I went with the down-powered, and there's some optional rules in there as well that I've kind of down-powered from my previous house rulings. Funeral pyres in this system are weaker than my heroic send-off rules that I've used for BX, OSE, and Labyrinth Lord. It's 100 gold pieces per level and 50 gold pieces for a hireling that you get as XP for dust tossing in that. The only ruling I've made is the XP tossed into that is done as part of the ceremony, that sacrificial oil or whatever, is XP that the PC can come back with on their reroll. So maybe they're not first level, maybe they're closer to the second. Because if they go up level, you can dump them out more and say you lost a 5th level character and there's a 6-man group and the other 5 characters donate the max 500. That's 500. That's 2,500 XP. That's a 2nd level character for the most part. So you're not coming back at first. You're still taking a hit. I get bonus XP for magic items and stuff from my other system, but whatever. So, as I slide through this, I post them in my Discord. And the other clarification I made was that I was only allowing demi-humans to multi-class. And dual classing rules would come later. I'm just going to rip them out of AD&D, to be honest. And I kept it to the rules that the suggestion, because it wasn't etched and sense, it's a suggestion that you apply all the restrictions for one of the core classes, fighter, cleric, magic user, thief, are the only classes that can multi-class up to 3, and only demi-humans can do it. Simple. So your fighter mage can't wear armor or use a longsword. Sorry. I may make race exceptions if they have to get around to fighting the drow. That'll be a monster thing. That's what makes them the bad guys. What makes them so much more powerful, right? That has changed how people pick their race class combinations a lot. You don't see your fighter mages as much. The only thing that really doesn't change much is a fighter cleric. It's your best bang for the dollar. So dwarven fighter clerics are there. Fighter thieves use no two-handed weapons and no shield, and you are wearing leather or stud leather. You're relying on your decks. That's how it is. I don't think it doesn't allow the hybrid classes to be multi-classed at all, which in other types of games and modern gaming you see people class dipping. Paladin with a level of warlock. So the paladin who serves a greater power has Soldi's soul. This is retarded. I spit upon your poor decisions in game design. People like that trash. I'm not a fan. I'm old school. I have my own. I went heavy-handed on Treasure Division, and if you don't treat the dungeon as a 5-room dungeon, you have stuff to pick. Normally, I would let players do it, but there was some conflict of interest, like picking up items in the module and then trying to make a roll. And you grabbed an item in the module, you grabbed an item in the adventure and just started using it, and now you're not putting it up for pick. So I made this to where there was everything over 100 gold pieces is a pick. So if you go light-handed and you route from the dungeon, there's nothing left to pick. you should let it ride until there's enough pot to where everybody gets a pick. No one's caught on to that. So, the death and dying, well, I expanded it. It was an optional rule, and players like it. They like that death save at -1 to -9. I expanded -1 to your con score. It's a simple fix. People with high con have a higher threshold, harder to kill. Your fighter's not constantly re-rolling. And that one's gone over well. I thought the death and dying rule in here would be a problem, and it has not been as unbalanced as I thought it might be. I did, from a Dragon magazine, get inspired to do something that some of the class protection purists will freak out. A thief has a higher chance to pick locks, but anyone can use a tool. And in a system that encourages you to use shovels and bring sledgehammers along and crowbars for stuff, lockpicks could be used by anyone, and your percent chance is your flat dex score. So if your wizard for some reason has an 18 dex, he's got an 18% chance to pick locks. That also means the guy who doesn't have any ability to find super fine secret traps, he's using some lockpicks. Just saying. It's also a turn. It's still a turn. And the thief gets progressively better and is way better at picking locks than just some schmo who's nimble, right? It's just me get more people up here to get them fingers pricked. I'm just saying. More wandering monster checks. That one has not actually been used by any of my players. I'm surprised. Cleave, I made a ruling that the bonus attacks granted by Cleave do not generate more cleaves. Let's keep that within reason. Another house rule / ruling for Dragonslayer so far has been the ringmail is AC 6, not 7. I'm just adding in other armors for appearance, but they have the same ACs. There's no mechanical difference. They're just called something else. They have a different appearance. I'm tempted to put padded armor in and make it an AC 9 armor instead of AC 8 leather. It's worse than leather, but I mean, you know. I switched to a D12 for initiative to reduce the number of ties, and it's kind of helped. Not a lot. I added an entire rule for jumping, and my jumping rules, and so there's no rules for it in there, and I couldn't find any other additions either. And I did find some that they seemed really, really too generous. And I said, nothing should be as good as the jump spell. So a guy in armor shouldn't be able to jump 30 feet. So I made that ruling. So I made it 2d4 plus strength or dex mod. And if you're a medium or heavy armored, you have to strength check or you only cover half the distance you roll. I thought it was a simple roll. That's pretty simple. So a 2d4, you make your strength check, you could run in plate mail, jump 8 plus 3, 11 feet, broad jump in plate armor is being very generous. If you fail your strength check, it's half that, like 5 feet. Maybe that's heavy-handed, maybe not. I don't know. I went with it. As written, Dragonslayer only allows the assassin to dual wield. I disagree with that. So, in a system that had such low pluses to attack, your attack goes always 20, and you got a base attack bonus. So it's a hybrid. So the base attack only goes up to +8 for the fighter. So I made it -2 to hit, -4 for your secondary, and the secondary must be a small weapon, and you can't cleave with a secondary weapon. You can only cleave with the primary. And you have to have a 13 dex to even attempt it. The assassin doesn't have to have just has the class dex requirement, and it's -2 to hit, -1 for the offhand. So they can dual wield much more effectively than a fighter. It's the only thing they get, really, besides some assassination stuff. Natural healing is not addressed in the system, so I made a natural healing rule. 1 hit point per level for full night's rest. And you get to add your con bonus if you're in town or in a safe location. But if you're just camping in the woods, you get your level in hit points. 1 per level. I noticed that the healing and the turning undead and all that stuff scaled with level. D8 plus level, 2D4 plus level, natural healing, 1 hit point per level. Seemed within the realm of what Dragonslayer was going for, and not overpowering. So I went with it. A lot of people do not like the attack of opportunities that are generated by any movement. So once you're in base-to-base contact, you are locked in. And if you shift, like I move over to give flanking to my buddy, attack of opportunity. I have also made the ruling that creatures with multiple attacks get their attack routine. So once you're in base-to-base and I move over, he gets claw bite. Also, I made 2 other rulings. That if you have a reach weapon, that you get attacks of opportunity as people come into you. So if you have a spear and or a polearm, you're always getting first attack as the enemy closes to you. Right? This encourages you to use hedgehog type stuff to keep things at bay, because if they're smart enough not to come in too close, animals, you're always going to get that advantage on the animals unless you're surprised. No attacks of opportunity if you're surprised. That's been a ruling for me. Also, if your target is blinded or you are blinded and you don't have other senses to offset that blindness, no attacks of opportunity because you don't see them move away. Surprised and blinded, no attacks of opportunity generated. Encourages to blind people. Standing up, I count as a move action. You're standing up, no combat. Now, I know if I'm doing loose, minute-long things, I should maybe just assign feet. How many feet of movement that would be? 10 foot of movement gone for standing up. So if you're encumbered in plate, standing up would be your whole movement. I think I'm sorry. I probably should go modify that. Maybe I'll talk to my players about it. Get their input. Maybe. But really, that's all I've had to do to the system that I've written down in my Discord. And honestly, I feel like I've made other rulings that were game-changing, but not really. Crits and fumbles, I have a discussion with the players if they want them or don't want them. If they don't want them, I have them married together. So if we're doing crits, double damage dice, get fumbles. If you don't want, no crits, which makes the double damage dice from charging for fighters only, and their subclasses, and stuff like that. In the backstab, class protected. Removing the crit, I think, gives a bump to the thief, assassin, fighter, and all fighter subclasses, ranger, barbarian, etc. Because they can just charge and do double damage dice. So that means that barbarian in Dragonslayer runs around that corner with a 2d6 damaging two-handed sword and hits you, and he moved 20 feet and said, I'm charging this round. I'm just going to run around and attack whatever. I moved my 30, 40 feet or whatever because I'm wearing a loincloth. I want the movement. He rolls 4d6. If I had to, going by rules as written, if I had the crit system and he hit, that'd have been 8d6 because it doubles damage dice. Why wouldn't it cover the charging dice? Which made things like the lance charge or the barbarian two-handed axe or the paladin with two-handed sword charge devastating. And in one game, it did have a devastating attack. They charged a warden first round and did like 20-some damage in a single swing. Heroic, pulpy, a little over the top, a little lucky. A lot of luck. We gotta be honest. A lot of luck in this stuff. But I think those are the only house rules I've had to do for Dragonslayer. Me and my guys have been having a hoot. We love it. I've only lost one player out of my pool of 18. I have 18 players in my Roll20 for the games I run. My Discord is only open to personal friends and people who play in my games, who have played in the games in the past, and a few other creators who just want to be in my Discord, see my rules and campaign ideas. I don't mind being farmed for ideas. I don't care. But yeah, that's the only house rules I've got. I encourage you to make rules. If these help you for your Dragonslayer game, get on it. I encourage it. I encourage more people to talk about Dragonslayer. We're in a world ruled by algorithms because we're under the tech boot. All right, we're in a dystopia. Whether you view it that way or not, we're in a dystopia. And engagement, people talking about stuff and tagging things a certain way on these channels for social media, YouTube, etc., builds hype. Some other games, I don't want to give. Some of these other games, I don't understand how they. I think they suck. But a lot of people talk about them, and that drives. And the bandwagon effect is a real thing. Nothing draws a crowd like a crowd. Period. And if a lot of people are talking about a subject, other people want to ask questions about said subject. I think that's why some people who have a personal distaste for the system, or maybe they have a personal distaste for Gillespie, who the hell knows, don't ever speak about it. It's kind of funny. So I've noticed there's like 2 other YouTubers that post consistently about Dragonslayer. Black Belt Gaming. Check out his channel. He has a different take on going over the rules as opposed to, I'm more freeform, you know me. I'm kind of crass. Don't care. It keeps the emotional cripples at arm's length and stuff. So, that destroys my reach. I know what destroys my reach. This guy right here. Do what you like. Who cares what other people say? And I think Double D talks about Dragonslayer in the pause a lot. I don't think he make any videos about it, though. I haven't noticed. He's mainly like a live stream guy, I guess. And I saw 1 or 2 other people do, like a handful of people do reviews and then no more videos. So you have to review people who do a single review, give a thumbs up, thumbs down, and then move on to the next. Let's do a review. I just don't get it. I also am one of those guys who jump systems a lot. I find a system I like. It suits my taste and needs for a particular style of play. That's my choice. That's my go-to. And I try to master that system. Jack of all trades, master of none. So people running 5, 6 systems. I don't get it. Find what you like. Master it. Feel free to comment. Sometimes I read them, sometimes I don't. I don't know. Kind of weird like that. But game well, game often. Get out there. If you like it, talk about it. Promote it. I'm going to be doing some stuff on Savage Swords for the Red Room next, too. I don't know the system's designed well for big dungeon delving, but it would work perfectly. A pulp 5-room dungeon would work perfectly. So I'm going to retool my flaming fecal kobolds and make them babies! Flaming fecal oil-tossing pygmies. Sorry, it already sounds funny, right? I can make some ooga booga jokes, but you can get very unpopular. I'm just saying. And fly-themed wooden mask. I think I already got it. Like little tiki dudes charging you, throwing flaming poo on you. I got to start working on that. Later, y'all. Have fun.